As I mentioned previously, I'm going to start posting some stuff that I haven't really given much detail in. I just want to give you guys some more intel on stuff I posted in the past, as I've put a lot of videos out and not really allowed people to understand, what went on or how things came about, or how certain supporting evidence was gathered. So this piece of audio, I've posted it before, you've heard it before, but this particular piece was the very first time Neff called out to me at that range, at that proximity. What would happen is I would typically just get inside my tent, and he would wait till I was inside my tent before he started calling out and let me hear his voice. And this went on for quite some time, and then it got to a certain point where I was still setting up my tent in the middle of winter. I wasn't sleeping in it all night, it was just too damn cold. And I'd crawl into my tent. It got to a point where I was just even, at first I would wait, I'd have to wait for a bit. It got to the point where I was still zipping up my tent, crawling inside when Neff would start up and start vocalizing. So this particular night, I can't remember what temperature it was, but it was pretty cold. I crawled into my tent and he started vocalizing, and when he was finished, he went silent. It's typically what would happen. He'd give it was pretty consistent with how long he would go on for, and then he would just stop. And then I'd come out of my tent, or not, depends on the time of year, or I'd go to sleep, whatever. This particular night, I waited till he finished vocalizing, and then I come out of my tent, and there was snow on the ground. So I come down to my vehicle where I had my audio mics running through my sunroof, which I typically do, and I was in the midst of inspecting a fresh print in snow right beside my car, this one here. And so I knew I had really awesome vocalizations, because my mics were right there and his footprint was right there, and I was listening to him. I can't remember which piece that was that he was vocalizing while I was in my tent. I'd have to dig through my stuff. But besides that, as I was standing there inspecting this print, knowing that I had some awesome vocals, suddenly he yelled out to me, and you can hear my reaction. I'm completely caught off guard, and I'm like fumbling, oh my God, and just incredible to hear him at that close a range. Like I said, that was the first time he ever did that. I think there was about 9 consecutive visits after that where he was doing that, but this was the very first time. So it gives you just a better understanding of what was going on, with my reaction at that point. It's a really incredible piece of audio and direct, verbal communication with the Sasquatch people. So listen to this, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that.
And let's move your audio underneath of that. I gotta put your... Oh, hey buddy. Nefertia. How are you, my friend? Oh, he's right here. Wow, this is amazing. Oh my God. Hello, my friend. Oh, I'm so happy you're doing this. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Wow.
Marble!
I love you, buddy.
Marble!
Marble. Marble. You're saying marble. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh man. Wow. Oh, thank you, my friend.
I wanted to share this with you as well. This I've posted previously as well, but I don't think I haven't put it in a video. So I got to a point, I wasn't doing this at first, and then one day, you know, it was like, hey, why not start looking for hair and footprints, right? So we're getting so many footprints, literally hundreds, trackways, single prints, multiple family members, and they were fresh, very fresh. Some of them have been literally seconds old, like this print here. This wasn't there seconds earlier. You know, I've posted this stuff before, right? I had just swept the area with my flashlight, you know, checking thoroughly, and then suddenly I look again, and there's an 18-inch adult print, and as standing beside the car with Dwayne, suddenly you know, he's sweeping too with his flashlight, and he says, "Don't step back." And there's a younger individual's print directly behind me that had just appeared. You know, so we know they're right there, right then with us. So anyways, I would gather, I digress, I would gather hair samples from prints. I get down on my hands and knees with a magnifying glass and a pair of tweezers. I would hold my breath while I was pulling hair from prints, you know, did my best to so I wouldn't contaminate anything, and put it into paper envelopes. So, you know, sometimes Ziploc bags, but typically paper. And then it was at one point I had sent some hair samples in through a third party, through Sasquatch Canada, a gentleman named Chris Murphy. And so he ran that website. I don't think he's doing it anymore. I think he's kind of pulled back on that from a more recent brief email between us, where I was just making sure I had permission to pull something off his website and post it publicly. It does have to do with me anyways, right? So he wrote this article up, and he had sent in the hair samples to a third party, which was a Russian geneticist working in a US government lab. So apparently he wasn't supposed to be doing this, and he had told some colleagues who obviously ratted him out, and he lost his job over this, which I thought was a bit extreme. You know, it didn't leave me feeling very good about that, but you know, kind of makes you wonder why they would take such an extreme measure. You know, when you get as close as I have, you look at things a little differently. And so that happened. And then they took some samples and they were put under electron microscope. And what was interesting was, I think it was Brian Sykes some time ago had done a DNA study and had come out with, I think it was some Yeti hairs or something like that. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember something being said about extinct polar bear, you know, something with the hair samples. I'd have to look that up again. I haven't done that because, you know, really it doesn't matter to me all that much. But so when these were put under electron microscope, the closest resemblance that they found, I was told, that's written in the article that you can see, it was a polar bear. So I found that really interesting. There's no polar bears around here. And as I mentioned, these prints, I'm pulling hair from prints that are usually minutes old, sometimes even fresher than that, because we're checking quite often. What I would do is anytime we would find prints, I would document, take photographs, take video footage, and then I'd rub them out, you know, in case anybody comes walking along the road, because we really don't want any attention on that. We've done our best to keep that hidden from others. And there's been, you know, people that have tried to, you know, be quite nosy there, but we've done pretty good at wiping out the evidence after we're finished with it, even though sometimes a print would appear late at night and you don't see it till next morning. So there was that, this article that was posted on the Sasquatch Canada site under the bits and pieces, so you can even look it up there. I'll put the article number there. I think it's probably on the page too. That I'm outside, so I don't remember. I'm sure it's on there. I just can't see it right now. And then yeah, that was some insight on that. And I have a spot where I take, basically in the off season, I'll call it, that I pitch my tent, and I've taken friends and family in there. Taken my nephew in there and witnessed some crazy things. Actually, my nephew had an incident. I was right there, but he got the visual. We were camping. We had our tents pitched, and as we were putting our tents up, there was a tree close by that was pushed over. That's happened a couple times there. That Sasquatch medley, I can't remember which video it is, the more recent one, the very beginning of that. That's also that same spot where at the beginning of that video, the audio piece on there is just an enormous tree smacking the ground. It was about 10:30 at night, and it was dead still that night. This has happened a few times. I've recorded trees going down a few times, and I've heard them a couple times going down when I haven't been recording in other locations when I'm still doing this same work. So my nephew, we're there, and it was dusk, and there's a gravel road there, and it was very quiet, and suddenly footprints. You hear somebody walking, clear bipedal walking, just boom, out of thin air, somebody starts walking, and right away I know something's going on. So I jumped up and start heading down there, but not before he got a visual through the trees. And he said he saw a dark figure, and then it was gone, disappeared. So over the years, I've captured a lot of audio, a lot of strange stuff, and I take my buddy, a good friend of mine I've known for 4 decades, in one night where I pitched my tent in the off time, and there wasn't that much, it seemed, that went on, but I run my audio recorders in the background, so when I play that back the next, whenever, next day or whatever it is, then I really get to understand more of what's going on, because they always show their presence to me that way. During this one visit with my buddy, we got to hear this.
You hear that? Tell me that wasn't people. That was twice.
That's a vocalization. It sounds like car tires screeching, it really does. But when you think about it, you don't hear an engine. If you're going to hear tires screeching like that, you're going to hear a motor with it. There's no motor, which brings me to an incident that happened to Dwayne and I years back. And we'd pulled up to this spot in his snowmobile, and he killed the motor, and there was nothing around. There was no other snowmobilers around. It was very quiet, and suddenly we heard 2 revs clearly from a snowmobile engine, and there was no motor running, and that was it, just the 2 revs. It was in close proximity, and we just, like, what the hell, because we're quite still new at it back then. We already knew the strangeness was there, but after this long now, we've had a lot of experience with it. So anyways, I was with my buddy that night and heard those vocalizations. You can tell he's, has a shocked reaction, and I'm just trying to listen intently there, because I know there's some weird stuff going on. I've never heard that vocal in my life, so I lean towards it being them. I don't know 100% that that's Sasquatch, but I would guess that it probably is. I'm pretty good with my sounds in the woods and that. Always something new to learn, but there's some people think they hear these monkey sounds in the woods sometimes and they think it's Sasquatch. You know, actually this is a good thing to show folks too, because you know it'll help you understand. Barred owls, they're a fair size, they're a good size owl, and when you get a couple of them or more than two, they start going in chorus and they start making these monkey sounds, and I've recorded that before, so you can listen to that for a second and you'll understand. And then actually in my backyard, just the other night, I was out there with my girlfriend and we were sitting in chairs, you know, it was dark, and I had a tree in my way so she could hear things I couldn't on the other side of that. And at first she heard, said there's something there, and you know, I ended up turning the flashlight on and seeing that there was a deer there. You know, didn't keep the bright light on it, but just you know, till I could see what it was. At first we thought it might have been a fisher. Turned out it was a deer, and we thought maybe it had a fawn with it, because after that we shut the lights off, we sat back down. After that we're sitting there again and she hears it closer, turn the lights on, and sure enough the thing's half as far as it was, so you know, it was much closer to us this time, and this time I got to watch it stamp its foot. Once I saw one foot stamp, and then we killed the lights. We sat down again just quietly, but it was only within seconds that we got 4 snorts, really loud too. We got a good piece of audio of that.
Go, but stop shining the light on that face. I just wanted to make sure it's not coming right up on it. Okay, yeah, snorting at us. It's a deer snorting.
There's something else up there too, I think.
It's deer snorting.
It's okay. Okay, let's go.
You know, whenever you're doing this stuff, or even just sitting in the woods, especially at night in the dark and just listening, you know, it's amazing when you experience this stuff, and any close proximity interactions with wildlife is always a thrill for me. You know, I just love it. I love nature. You know, you can tell I didn't want to leave after the snorts, but it was a good thing, probably a good thing we did, you know. And then later that night I got these barred owl calls, just 2 calls right above the audio. You know, again, this happens to me quite often, so I don't know if there's something to that, or you know, if it's just coincidence that there's always barred owls showing up. You know, whenever I do this camping thing, they are very curious and fairly easy to call in. Like, you can do barred owl call and be pretty crude at it, and they'll still come in to check it out. But like I mentioned, you know, I've had quite a bit of that activity. So anyways, I just wanted to share some more stuff with you, give some more insight, and hopefully you guys enjoy that as much as all the other stuff, and hope to bring you some more stuff soon, you know, just share some more experiences and give some more details, first-hand accounts, instead of just the, you know, text over pictures and that sort of thing. Just to better to get a understanding, you know, talking it out, right? So anyways, appreciate you guys, all your support, and I'll see you soon. Have a good one.